speaker has been with us before. Maria Toso. She's a yoga teacher, a life coach, and writer. Originally from Denmark, trained in the United States, she recently moved back to her native Copenhagen after 25 years. She's also founder and owner of Breath of Life Yoga. And she's been practicing and guiding yoga and meditation since 1990. Her experience includes teaching meditation and yoga at places ranging from addiction recovery centers to universities, working with at-risk youth programs, yoga studios, private businesses, as well as her own therapeutic yoga school and coaching practice. She's also on faculty at St. Paul College, where she trains students to become certified yoga teachers. And she trains students to become 2-hour yoga teachers and meditation teachers through Breath of Life. She helps her students and clients achieve solid ground within to stay peaceful and grounded. With that, Maria Toso.
Tina. All right, hi guys. So Gary contacted me a couple of months ago and asked if I would speak again, and he gave me the prompt, solitude. So I've been sitting with that a little bit, and the first thing that came to mind when I thought of it was when I first started teaching yoga teacher trainings at St. Paul College, and I had yoga poses as a program, I had yoga philosophy as a course, and then I had meditation. And I've meditated since I was 19. So that's become a real habit, and I would think that would be the easiest of the three. It turned out to be the hardest by far. It was the one where people had the most interesting excuses for why they couldn't do it. I once had 25 people early on in a course, and I had assigned the meditations, and we had practiced it in class together, and then we went around like, how did your week go with the meditation? And it was one excuse after another. I was almost laughing at the end, because everyone had a reason why they could not sit down for 20 minutes. And that was work, it was kids, it was illness, it was something more elaborate than that even. So I had to take a step back and say, why is this so hard? No, actually the first thing I did was, everybody go into your phone and look at your screen time. And you might want to do that. It's getting scary for many of us. And see if there really is not 20 minutes in that hours of screen time that most of us are into at this point. But it's not about shaming someone for not being able to sit still and be with themselves. It's about really understanding what is it that happens at that point. And that was what led to what I ended up doing as a coach. Because when we become quiet and still inside, what becomes loud inside is what hurts. Even if I were to say right now, close your eyes for one moment. Just close your eyes for real. Where in the body is there a contraction that feels nervous or scared or uncomfortable? Raise your hand if you feel something that feels less than peaceful inside. Yeah. So that's most people, and I would say if I had taken more time for this little mini exercise and guided you to really feel your body, I have never met anybody who didn't have something inside that was going, ugh. So the reason why we don't want to be in solitude, and you spoke to this a little bit too, Tina, is because it's so hard to be inside and be quiet and be still. Now, in meditation, we draw awareness deep, 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 deep into the center. And we say that, be centered, be grounded. But what does that mean? Our awareness is most of the time out here or here. And I can feel this. I started meditating, like I said, when I was 19, at a Tibetan Buddhist center in Copenhagen, where I grew up, and it was after my dad had passed, and I didn't know what to do with all the dreams and feelings I had about him showing up and telling me that he was still around, when clearly he wasn't, and that was the consistent message in my dreams. And there was a story to that I won't get into, but that led me to this meditation center, and that led me to drawing awareness deep inside to the place that is still all the time. And then to start to notice when that place starts to get rocky and we start to get out more in the periphery. And we say it, right? I'm spinning, you're spinning. And it really is that we come out of the center and further out. And it grabs us, just like the centrifugal forces grabs us. And what is it that can bring us back inside? Again, being still and drawing in. and not being deterred by also feeling what stands in the way of coming into that quiet space. In my coaching practice and in my teaching practice right now, I think it's safe to say that it's not whether you're struggling with anxiety, it's how does your anxiety show up. I think it's across the board with how we live now, because everything about modern life is pulling us out of that place. And we can see it even in our physicality. In Denmark, and I don't actually live in Copenhagen anymore, I just moved back here in February. But when I did live in Denmark for the past 2 years, I would take public transportation a lot. So I got to be really close to a lot of different people just sitting on the train for 20 minutes. And what I noticed was young people, they've developed something like this. And if you know what C7 is, it's the largest vertebra of the cervical spine. It was, in many cases, and I'll kind of spy on people a little bit because I'm interested in what's happening to human beings, would poke out in a way I normally see in middle-aged people, in 20-year-old people. So the whole posture of the physical body is shifting towards something that's out here and that's really grabbing. You know what else it makes me think of? Have you guys watched Harry Potter movies or read the books with the Dementors? That kind of sucking. I walk into my son's room. He's 21 now. He just moved to Copenhagen to go to school and didn't bring his Xbox, but now he wants us to ship it over there. I was so happy he was not going to have that. But when he was still home and I would walk in on him, there was just like all awareness was drawn forward. His whole posture was like this. And he was engaging in what you might say kind of rite of passage for a young man, being on rescue missions in the woods or war and things like that had to do with teamwork, getting something done. And you're usually the hero there, so he could sort of describe it to me as, not so bad, Mama. And yet his body wasn't moving, so all the adrenaline that would shoot through him from being completely engaged and also not wanting to let down all his buddies. I mean, that's how seriously they take it. So then he'd try to go to bed at 2 a.m. with all this adrenaline still in the body and no real way to process it. Because we have eliminated the ways to process all this anxious, nervous energy one by one. And instead, we get more and more driven and more into the action-oriented part of life to keep up with all of what's demanded of us. And we've even taken away, and again, referencing back to my childhood, Sunday when I was a kid, and I don't know what it was like here in Minnesota, but when you would wake up on Sunday morning in Denmark, everything would be still. You could just feel it. There'd be no cars driving. Not that you couldn't, but there was nowhere to go because there was nowhere to shop. The bakery was open. That was the only thing you could buy on a Sunday. So that whole reaching outside of ourselves for entertainment, for gratification, there was a day once a week, every 7 days, the day of rest. So without even having to say it, there was that drawing inward. And maybe it was not complete solitude, because in my case, I was with my family. But there was still a level of stillness that continuously drew us back into the center. And now it's like we're being pulled out of the center more and more. And what I'm seeing happen in myself, in those close to me, in my clients, is that the processing of the things that make us anxious, it's not happening anymore. There's too much. So then we go to addictions. And there can be addictions that are legal, so we don't think it's a big deal to have a glass of wine every night. It's a way not to feel. When I started teaching teacher training and realized that it was so hard for my students to meditate, one of them said to me in a group sharing situation, every time I sit down to meditate, all I want is to watch Netflix. And I said, well, that's your Netflixing. Let's find out what everybody else's Netflixing is. Around that time, I went to my first Vipassana retreat, which is 10 days, not looking at anybody, not talking to anybody, not reading, not writing, just meditating all day long. If you want to find out what your Netflixing is, you go do that. Because I was a little cocky. I've been meditating for a long time. I don't drink. I'm a pretty good girl. I really do my work. But 10 days, I found out what my Netflixing was. And number one was my phone. I so wanted to grab my phone that whole time. They had it, you kept it in the front office, and they also took your car keys. And then there were sweets. Nobody think, I mean, if you don't have a weight problem, why can't you have a bowl of ice cream every night? That was another way to soothe the emotions. And then there was calling friends. Yeah. So we think it's good to have good friendships. We speak a lot about how loneliness is detrimental to people and we need to visit people who are lonely. But there is also distraction that can go along with that. So you feel something terrible inside. It's very soothing to tell a friend about, and they can empathize, and then you sort of deactivated what was trying to show itself a little bit. And short of that, do you know what happened? To everybody there, tears. It was kind of creepy. I mean, you could hear it from in the dormitory, like people were sobbing. People were sobbing in the meditation room. I was sobbing, laying in fetal pose, staring into a wall, sobbing, not even quite sure what I was sobbing about. It's just all this accumulated debris and contractions that happen. It can be something as simple as I'm driving, well, in Copenhagen, I was riding my bike, and this is a real story. I was riding my bike, and a taxi driver cut me off, and I had the right of way, and to avoid being hit, I fell on my side, got out of his way, didn't get hit, hurt my hip because I landed, and to make matters worse, he rolled down his window, gave me the finger and scolded me, and then he drove off. And I had to go straight away to teach right after that. So 10 minutes later, I'm in front of a group of people, and I'm telling them to close their eyes and feel their bodies, and I burst into tears. And I have to tell them, I almost got run over, and then this guy did this, and one student came up and hugged me, and then it passed through. Then I was okay. Because I took that quiet moment, well, I did because I was teaching. I don't know if I would have otherwise, frankly, until maybe the next morning or the evening. And at that point, it could have been too far away. What was it? It might have been too hard to retrieve, and I might just have felt a general unease in my body. But in this case, I processed it right away. And it wasn't even that overwhelming. It was like tears, tension in the body, and release. You know, when Tina was teaching us before to shake, you know, that's one of the ways we can shake that tension out of the body. But back to the solitude, when we negate that time to be inward and really explore what's going on in the energy field of the body, I would assert that we're missing our own life and why we're here. Our body is a complex, energy-breathing, living being that holds our whole curriculum. Everything that we've done for lifetimes, whether you just think of it as one life, even in this life, we've accumulated stuff that hasn't been processed. But in the yogi philosophy, we would say we have more with us from former lifetimes as well. And it's all right here. It shows up in the knee that hurts. It shows up in the contracted solar plexus. It shows up in a tight throat. And if we're willing to feel and be with all of that and bring to it the healer. What is the healer? What is the most healing thing I can give someone else? It's my full, undivided attention and presence, right? In that moment, the God within me, the divine within me, sees that in you. And when I see that in you, you see it in me. And suddenly it's soul to soul, not roll to roll. Can I also turn that, because I'm willing to do that with you, am I willing to do it with me? Because in my case, it involves being with that pain, holding it, the wounded part of myself, just like I would a little child. But we're not willing to do that for ourselves. What is the first thing people say if they're in a group and they're sharing and they cry? They do two things. Have you noticed? I'm sorry, I'm sorry. In every country I've been in, I'm sorry if I cry, right? What is that unwillingness to feel and hold each other through that we're so scared of the pain that shows up when we're alone? And here's what's curious. When Gary emailed me a couple of months ago, I was with a friend in Costa Rica and had lots of people around me in this eco community, so solitude was the last thing on my mind. Then I got back in with my coaching client, got back into living alone, and strengthen my meditation practice because I wasn't on the go. And what I'm seeing in so many people right now, and that may be my experience, you can let me know if you're seeing this too. So many people are breaking up, splitting up, feeling lonely, struggling with being alone. And I would say there is this amazing opportunity right now to connect to God. And when I say God, I mean deep, loving, all-abiding presence within. So when we sit still long enough in meditation and we make it through, kind of like Narnia's closet, you make it through all the anxiety, all the quotes, and then you step into, well, you know, in the case of Narnia, the frozen land ruled by the cruel king. But to some degree, even that analogy fits because it is a little frozen and cold in our world right now. There is so much cruelty going on that it's very easy to not want to even enter into and fully feel that space. I think the healing of our world starts with each individual bringing their own divine presence fully to themselves in deep, deep empathy and deep compassion, but not into wallowing. And that's such a knife-edged sword. Eckhart Tolle talks about the pain body. Have you guys read The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle's book? So he talks about the pain body and how the wounded within us can take over and really drive it in and want somebody else to fix this. And if they won't, then we're just going to go straight down into the drain of depression. That's not compassionately being with oneself. That's really being hijacked by the wound itself. What I mean is that we simply feel the energetic feeling. So most of you raised your hand before when I asked if you had something nervous, tense, uncomfortable in the body. I would assert that if I sat long enough with you and guided you deeply enough into your body, you would all have it. Because I don't think we would be in this heavy vibration of earth matrix if we didn't have the baggage that we need to work with. And it's a beautiful opportunity. So if you hold for a second, bring a hand to that place that might feel contracted within you that you had before. If this was a child you loved deeply, and children are really hard not to love, right? They're still so pure. If that was a child, maybe you even would bring both hands into the picture and really hold it. What would you say if a child hurt this much? And let it grow a little bigger by being with it. You would probably say something like, I love you. I'm here. I've got you. Right? That's what I think God is saying to us all the time. Be still and know that I am. That the I am, the God, the presence is within us and saying that. But when we're spinning all the way out here, we can't hear that anymore. And it's not that it isn't always calling to us. So again, I love you, I'm here. So that when we become still and we are lonely, maybe it really feels lonely. And that's almost a shameful thing to say, I'm kind of lonely. What's wrong with you? Don't you have any friends? Did you not get likes on Facebook or Instagram? What a loser, right? I'm lonely. I'm alone, I'm lonely, I'm with this pain. We're all alone on one hand, right? And on the other hand, we're all one. But we're in this individualized experience, and we have each been assigned a job. My job is to heal Maria. Your job is to heal you with deep presence. Let's do it again. Just whether you want to participate and put your hands on you, but truly, I love you. I'm here, I've got you. What's going on? And those of you that have raised children will know that sometimes when a child has had a bad day in kindergarten, they will tell you all about it. You have that verbal child, and this person did that, and then the teacher did this, and then this happened, and then I skinned my knee, and then they pushed me away, and then they wouldn't play with me. They'll tell you all about it. So let that place within tell you all about it. There's another kind of child. They contract. They feel scared. They don't want to talk about it. They may not even know how. They may just know that they're scared or anxious or angry. We still hold that child too. Yeah? It's the same thing. I've got you. It's okay. You can tell me about it. You don't have to. But that child, just along with your own body, in the embrace of that presence and love, there's a slow relaxation that starts. Do you feel that just in the moment you're sitting here? That there's something that responds, something that goes, ah. Yeah? I was driving here and I was musing on the word solitude, and I didn't Google this, so this is just my own musings. Sol in Danish is sun, the source of all warmth and good. So solitude could also be seen as being one with the source. Isolation, you talked about that, right? I negates irregular. Isolation, no sun. My God, why hast thou forsaken me? That's the feeling, right? That even Christ on the cross had to go so deeply into the dualistic experience of being cut off from God to re-find God within. I work mostly with women, probably because I'm a woman and I have that shared experience. And a lot of women I work with look for the source in a man. And whether men also do that to the same degree, you tell me. I don't have any male coaching clients. I have men in my classes. But I think there's something to that we all seek source outside of ourselves. But women in particular have been disenfranchised for so many generations that life itself, survival itself, a roof over our head and enough food to eat depended upon a man to bring it. And in that, we got confused that anything good that comes to us is God bringing gifts to us, bringing love to us, bringing presence to us through other human beings. Where two or more are present, there I am. So it's both. It's the ability to be in solitude. It's also the ability to be in exchange. But the moment we lean, I can't survive without you, you have to do X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to feel good, that repels. And it also makes us stumble and fall, right? So I think we're all called now to really be so strong and centered in ourselves that we draw from the divine presence within. I was in Costa Rica, like I just said, and I was lying next to a friend on a balcony. It was raining, very dusty rain. The sun was shining at the same time. I didn't know that could happen, but it did. So little tiny drops from this misty rain, and then the strong sun and wind. And then there was the ground. I mean, talk about experiencing all the elements on my near naked body because we were in swimsuits, right? It was warm enough. And I was just like, whoa, this is unbelievable. I don't know if I'll ever experience that again. I finally said something. It's like, can you believe it? I've got rain on my body, I got sun on my body, I got wind on my body, I got the ground beneath. This is amazing. And you know what he said? Oh, wow, I hadn't noticed until you told me. And I'm not mocking him, but that is the lack of being in the body and feeling in the body, which I would say is a protection. And it's a good protection, because then if I have to be tough in the world or manage something in the world and I'm feeling really uncomfortable, well, I'm going to manage better if I don't feel that fear right now, if I can either just stuff it indefinitely or deal with it later. So there's definitely times when we have to have that ability not to be so sensitive. But if we end up being so dense that we don't feel the subtleties of what's going on inside, it's contraction upon contraction upon contraction. The first Buddhist teacher I had said that we are all the light within, which now in my language I always say we're all the divine within. And that light is shining through our mind, which is expressed in our whole body, and projected out into life. So the way I experience life is a perfect projection of everything that's going on inside of me. And the way you experience life is how all of your stuff, your samskaras, we say in yoga, your habits, your wounds, your experiences, your traumas, it's all being projected out there, and that's your experience. Now, he also said that whatever is a deep, contracted wound, you could say that's a speck on the lens. It's going to show up out there in life. And what we still do, even though Barnes & Noble and Amazon is full of spiritual books telling us the opposite, we still run up to the silver screen of life and try to fix something up there. We do it with partner number 1, and then we do it with partner number 2, and then we do it with partner number 3, not realizing that that particular theme was instilled maybe when we were 2 or 2 lifetimes ago. That feeling of not being loved, being abandoned, or whatever it is for each particular person, then it shows up coming from the outside. And we think, if I can fix that person, or short of fixing that person, I can fix the feeling with a cocktail, or my phone or ice cream. So then we never get to that place that's contracted. So my invitation to you guys, and I think we should even try that today, is to get really real about the places inside that are in contraction, because that is our curriculum. And there's no easy fix. I was told when I was 19 that if I did this Nunro, which was like the Tibetan school of the Kagyu lineage, where you visualize, you prostrate yourself 100,000 times in front of the Dharma, just to really show that your ego is eliminated and you're all here to learn, which I did, can you believe it, at age 20, 21, 22. The second exercise you do is visualize nectar of light coming through your body and pushing out anything that is not of you, which is really an interesting way of getting somebody to body scan, which is what Vipassana is. It's a lot of body scan. So when we start to become aware of where those places are within and how they show up outside of us, instead of reacting, so if I have a contraction here and it shows up in a certain dynamic in a relationship here, and instead of swooping in, holding and letting it soften, because now Pandora's box is open, I go once again into the dynamic where I want you to be different so I don't have to feel this. Well, guess what? You can't attract somebody who's different as long as that's in place. That's what's so funny. So you're going to ask the person least likely to do it the way you need it to be done to do it differently. And every time you do, it's yet another proof that I can never be loved for real. More proof, right? It gets tighter and tighter. It's just going to show up more and more, or we can stuff it. I'm not feeling this. I'm Netflixing. I'm drinking wine. I'm eating sugar. I'm going to yoga, even yoga, something to distract it. Anything but sit quietly with this place within. But I'm telling you, when we can start to instead hold that place, dismiss the messenger. Here, this thing happened again. And I'm aware enough to know it's happening, I'm triggered, is an opportunity. Pandora's box is open, my samskara is exposed in all its raw vulnerability. I can swoop in and hold it now. And for each time I do that, just like a child will be happier and happier the more I'm right here, tell me all about it. If a child gets that every day, they're going to grow up to feel the world loves me. If we give that to ourselves every day, we're going to start to feel loved in a way no one else can ever do. If we can't love ourselves enough to hold our deepest pain, how do we expect somebody else to? Really? We might persuade somebody to do it every once in a while, but it's not going to be a consistent thing, and then it just drives the samskara deeper in, because that was the whole pain in the first place. There is no consistent love, but there is. It's life itself within us. So it's a new way of celebrating God, celebrating the divine. Then the body is the temple. And it even says in the Bible, the kingdom lies within. But if we're out here, and we start to draw ourselves back into our center, and now the anxieties start to really show up as I come closer and closer to myself. Again, it's the coats in the Narnia closet. I'm getting closer and closer. And then okay, that's enough. I'll try again tomorrow. But if we can go past that and come into the kingdom lies within the very center of ourselves, where it's like a hand coming fully into the glove. It's almost like you can see your own nose from the inside, your own ears from the inside, feel the back of your head, like you really are in the center of yourself. And you have meditation here on Tuesdays, so I'm assuming some of you have experienced this, where you draw closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to the center. And It's hard to get into the center anymore, at least for me. There's so much forces kind of pulling us out that it's becoming harder to come into the center. I still believe that getting closer to the center more often still really helps. Okay? Let's sit for a moment. Let's close the eyes again for a moment like we did in the beginning of my little talk. How much of your body are you fully embodying? If your awareness was pure divine light, where are you definitely present, and what are the nooks and crannies that could be more filled with you? Filling your head, your brain, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your hands. Filling your chest, your shoulder blades, your solar plexus, your abdomen, your thighs, your pelvis, your knees, lower legs, and feet. Tips of the toes, tips of the fingers, tip of the nose, top of the head. To the best of our ability, our spirit selves fully coming into alignment with our physical expression. And then bring your hand to that place again that most of you discovered. And simply acknowledge, I feel this. This is in me. I carry this around, and this is old. I recognize this feeling. And I'm willing to be with it. Just like I would be willing to be with a sad child every bit as much as I would be willing to be with a happy child. I'm with this. I acknowledge this. It's in me. It's with me. And then say to this place within, what's up? What's going on? And don't force anything. Let it be just as okay to say, hey, I just want to be held. That feels good to just have you be with me. You might ask this place, what does this remind you of? What is another time that you've felt this? And when else? How far back can you trace this feeling? See if there are images. And who's poking at this feeling right now? Who is that outer person that I thought was fully to blame for this feeling, maybe, but who's maybe here to remind me that I carry this around so I can be with it and heal it? Who is that person? And just for now, you may have to work something out with this person. You may have to leave this person. You may have to go deeper in with this person. But just for now, dismiss the messenger and say, okay, for right now, it's not about you. It's not about this person. Just let them leave energetically and see that the feeling is still there. And then we talked a little bit in the first lecture today about God within and God without. Ask for God's help here. And we can philosophize about what that means. To me, it means really igniting the divine force of presence even more in myself to be with it. And for you, might have a different concept of what God is. But whatever your concept of God, the divine is, it could even be the universe, it could be the power and magic of love. Bring that to this place. Breathe deeper into it and then visualize it full of light. Like you're radiating something contracted with light. Maybe visualize what it's like to take an ice cube and put it outside in the sun And it slowly starts to lose its hard edges, and it softens. It changes a little bit. And just like a light bulb that you can dim, turn up and down the intensity, turn up the intensity. The I am here-ness. Even say it, I'm here. I love you, I've got you, I'm here. I love you, I've got you, I'm here. I'm sorry I ever pushed you away. Sorry there was ever a time when I ignored you, felt embarrassed by you. I'm right here with this place. In solitude, soul, sun, source of life itself within us in the heart. Visualize the sun within the heart. And wherever this point is showing up in your body, let the sun in the heart radiate it now. Notice if it's shifting a little bit. Maybe the hard edges are softening a little bit. But also acknowledge that it's not a fast fix. I'm going to keep coming back with unconditional love. And unconditional love is not love that you apply technically to something so it will go away. Unconditional love is, I don't know how long this is going to take for you to release this, but my love will last even longer than that. I'm not just with you so you can finally be successful and have it all and be all the things that the outer world tends to demand of us. This is real love. I love you. I'm not going anywhere. You're never alone because I'm with you. That kind of love. That kind of love. And I'm coming back. This was a little visit to this place within myself. I'm coming back. And even when I'm not holding my hand on you or speaking to you directly, I now carry you with me because I love you. And maybe release your hands from the place and let yourself feel the whole of the body again. Because in the great scheme of things, this is not all of who you are, but it's part of it, and it gets to be there. And we're here to love it, to heal it. And open the eyes. Let yourself orient in the space. Maybe let your eyes wander around a little bit. In gratitude that there are people that put a place like this together. To talk about spirit in a way that's maybe a little unconventional, a little different. Experiment, try something new and different. And thank you for feeling. When we feel and release, we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for the world. I really believe that. Like the world relaxes a little bit with each person going in and letting something go a little bit. Good. Well, that's what I got for you guys today. Let's come into a circle together. Acknowledge that light, not just within ourselves, but within each other. That we may all see each other through those eyes of love that we so wish would look at us. And that we may all hear each other through ears of love and be heard through ears of love. This is my prayer for my kids. They're both in another country. When I wake up at 2 a.m. and I wonder, are they okay? Then that's what I pray. May they be seen by eyes of love. May they be seen with eyes of love. May they hear with ears of love. May they be heard with ears of love. May they feel each other and the world around them through the heart of love. And may they be felt that way. Yeah? All right. Come on up here. I don't know who's doing the circle. Offering first, and then the circle. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it's time for the offering. So if you will each dig deep And remember, we are an independent organization. Dig as deep as you can for the offering. And also, you can donate online and be a regular donor by going to our website, lakeharrietspiritualcommunity.org. That is what helps sustain us, is by having a regular income. So the ushers now are going to come by with the baskets.
Shiny thing. Anywhere you go, you're not alone. You're the North Star and the compass, always finding something wondrous. Anywhere you go, you're not alone. That could keep you from sorrow and harm. None of us is here for long, but you're not alone. In the cradle of the circle, all the ones who came before you. Strength is yours now. You're not alone. Sparrows in the morning, crows at dusk, singing with your daddy. We have love. We have
Okay, so if you will join me in blessing this green, because it's really getting white out there. In the 3 hours I've been here, there's snow. Okay, if you'll repeat after me. God's perfect love, flowing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. Now let's circle up.
Okay, I shouldn't have taken it off yet. Okay, well, let's join hands and join hearts, recognizing in some distant part of ourselves that we are all the one God, acting as many. And that we say yes to life, we say yes to being here, we say yes to healing ourselves, we say yes to being present. I'm going to teach you a song. Yeah, it's very short. So repeat after me. I'll do like a call and response. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with love. Let's do it together. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. Let's do that one together. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God. All the sopranos can join me, and I'm not one. Kyrie eleison. Let's try that. Kyrie eleison. Now the whole thing through. I am one with the heart of the mother. I am one with love. I am one with the heart of the Father. I am one with God.